panel straight on because we're quite a small number. And I've got a really exciting group of people, all very different backgrounds, so I think we're going to have some fun. So first, Kissa Castañeda is the editor-in-chief of Singapore Tatler and Edipresse Media. So yes, please, do come up. And then the lovely Ronit Raphael, who founded L.Raphael in Geneva, which is a personalized, very much personalized clinic. And the first time I went there to see her, I couldn't believe her clientele. They fly in from all over the world, and they spend a fortune with her. She's got an amazing business, doing non-invasive aesthetics, and also has a wonderful product line. She's in the Four Seasons in New York, the Montage in LA. She has a wonderful spa in Cannes, and she's going to conquer the world. So run it.
Thank you very much.
And then Dr. Oliver Worsley, I've known for some time. Oliver's very interesting. He's a doctor of genetics. He studied genetics. And then he founded a company called, I can never say it, Sequential. And for the last few years, he's been studying the microbiome. And we've heard a lot about the microbiome in the last couple of days. I've been personally interested in the microbiome for the last 15 years. And just before I sold S-Bar, I formulated product for the microbiome. So I think what he's got to say you'll be very fascinated in. So please, Oliver. And then finally, I've got Iman, Allana, who I've only just met, but she's the founder of BOLLYGLOW, a color cosmetics range in India. She's only 27, and she's already absolutely flying out there, and she's just told me that basically she wants to do the first skincare range for Indian women, or based on Indian culture. And there are 500 million women in India, and not yet, apparently, a skincare range out of India. So please, come and join us. Sorry? It's a globe. Oh, there's skincare, but not a global brand. Sorry. I'd get my facts right. So I'll just give you a little bit of outline where I think we are in the industry, and then we'll go to each individual person. So I started in Asia, probably building spas that you will know, like for Peninsula and Mandarin and One and Only and those sorts of brands, Leela in India, about 20 years ago. And when I started, obviously we were using amazing inherent skills from each country, predominantly in body. And one of the things we were finding was that actually there weren't many schools. This is a huge generalization, okay? I'm just trying to set the scene for what we're going to talk about. There weren't many schools training estheticians in international standards. So when the spa industry really started to evolve in Asia, most of the facials that were done within those spas were very holistic, using great oils, using pressure points, lymph drainage, but really more relaxing, moisturizing, all those sorts of things, but not high tech. There were great clinics that were medical, purely medical, doctor-led, in China and Hong Kong and Japan. So where I see the industry at the moment, and there is a lot of data out there if you need it, is we're generally speaking, and I think Asia in particular very well poised, we're seeing this huge growth in non-invasive aesthetics. We're seeing it all over the world, but we're seeing it in Asia in particular. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about today, as well as other things, was how that model might fit with the wellness and the spa industry going forward. Because the other thing that we've been lacking is the specialist estheticians with enough knowledge to do those treatments. So on that basis, I think if we start with you, Ronit, you showed me a graph that showed this huge rise in non-invasive aesthetics and the cosmetics piece going down. And we're seeing that worldwide. Can you tell me with your business, because I know that it's thriving in that department, which treatments are most popular, which are most profitable, where you see the growth, and then we can talk about the difference between doctor-led and non-doctor-led.
Then I think I wanted to start how I started from the beginning. I started in the age of 20 after I had a very bad injury on my skin. I had a second-degree burn on my skin, and I started my business in Israel. I have a 10 location in Israel, over 350 employees in Israel, already 32 years. I started in a cosmetic medical center. I was the first person to open a cosmetic medical a center that have treatment that they are not only cosmetic by hand. We needed a medical machine. When we started with the medical machine, the first machine was laser. Laser. Mm-hmm. Laser hair removal. If you remember, 30 years ago, yes, laser hair removal was the ruby laser. Ruby yes. laser was very aggressive, and slowly it's adapt and become to be a better laser. Mm-hmm. It took many years until we found the right treatment and the right machine. You're asking what is the machine, the best machine today in the market? The most popular. We have several. Which treatments are the most? We have several. Radio frequency is very popular, but you have for radio frequency millions of range of treatment. Oxygen treatment are very beneficial, amazing. They just get a reward. Ultrasound is a fantastic treatment. You have the radio frequency plus heating together. It's very good. Laser is fantastic. Tightening is fantastic. You have so many treatments. It all depends what kind of treatment, for which problem, what is the protocol behind it, what is the product behind it, how are you exactly tailor-made the treatment for the guest and for the real problem? So many. So thinking about the problems in the industry currently, the hotel spas and a lot of the destination wellness spas are very nervous of the non-invasive aesthetics for insurance reasons, legal reasons, and they often think they need a doctor. But if I understand it correctly, you have come up with a formula that can be added on to a hotel spa or a wellness destination that doesn't need a doctor. Is that correct? Yes, I opened almost 10 years ago at the Four Seasons New York. We are currently doing a classic spa that I think is fantastic, and everybody wants the holistic side of the treatment. But today the demand of the clientele and the guest is aesthetic. Mm-hmm. We have to listen to the demand, and the demand is what's leading our business. If the guest would like to have a oxygen treatment or phototherapy treatment, we have to give them this a treatment in our spa. Why to send them outside? We can, all of you, can have this benefit, and you have already the esthetician. They are very well trained. They know exactly what to do. You just need to know to find the right product, the right protocol, and the right machine. I will never do Botox or Restylane or any other injection in hotel. I will not recommend that at all, because I think this can open you for a big
legal insurance
problem. Yeah, but the rest, we can do so many today.
And Kissa, are you seeing this trend in because you write about
non-invasive, you mean?
Yes, because you've lived and worked in Manila and Hong Kong and Tokyo, from what I understand, and you've been writing for a long time about the various cultures.
That's right. So I'm the editor of Tatler, as Stu mentioned earlier. And in Tatler, we cover everything luxury lifestyle. More and more, we cover beauty and wellness. Beauty has always been part of the mix, but wellness coverage has been growing in particular because, again, if the customer demands it, if the readers demand it, we write more about it. And in terms of beauty trends and whether or not non-invasive is huge, in Singapore, I can see yes, for sure. I think more and more people are open to the idea of aesthetics for one, and they're more open even if they don't cut your own skin. So there's less of a fear of downtime. Mm-hmm. A lot of it has to do with convenience. So everyone wants things fast. So a lot of aesthetic clinics now, you'll go in, you can go a day before or even 2 hours before. Like we have a big event later this week. The Tatler Ball is on this Friday. I'm sure everyone's going on to the clinic today or maybe tomorrow. And I think, yes, if there's a way to expand it further, to make it part of a spa, there's definitely a clientele there. And there's not a lot of taboo surrounding aesthetics at the moment in Asia, I'd say. Okay,
thank you. And Ollie, I keep wanting to call you Jonathan. That's his father's name because I've known his father for a long time. I'm fascinated with the microbiome, and obviously it's become very topical. From what I understand, the science now has been proven of the connection between the gut microbiome, the microbiome on our skin, and the microbiome in our brain. You've spent the last 2 years really studying it. Tell us a bit about your studies, tell us a bit about your research, and tell us a bit about what I don't know what to call it, the gadget that you've come up with, which sounds absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah, so thank you for the kind introduction. My name's Oliver, and I studied genetics and the skin microbiome. I've spent the last year researching really into the skin microbiome and understanding what is on the skin and how it's regulating the health of the skin. Obviously, there's been a huge kind of evolution of the gut microbiome, and everyone's starting to realize how important the gut microbiome is now for human health and disease. And they're slowly finding that the skin microbiome is similarly important in regulating health and disease. So it's really exciting for me. I'm combining the genetics so your human genetics, what you're predisposed to, and the skin microbiome to give you a complete profile of your skin. And this is using what we call a biopatch that we've developed. And it works nicely on this discussion because it's an extremely quick way of analyzing what's on the skin. There's no saliva tubes, there's no blood tests, anything like this. So that was one of our approaches. We wanted to provide something that was consumer-friendly in this way.
And do you think when you told me first about it, I thought it could revolutionize the product industry globally. Oliver, I should call him, won the L'Oreal Innovation Award with a huge number of people, but he actually won with this gadget. And to me, I thought, well, if the DNA, you obviously test once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you only need to test once. But if you can test your microbiome on your skin, say, and then you go and spend $2,000 or $3,000 on your skincare, and 3 months later you test it again and you've seen no improvement, isn't that going to kill the product market?
I mean, that's what we hope to. That's almost what we hope to do a bit. We want to challenge what's out there. It's dominated, as everyone's aware, with these big brands, and there's a slow shift towards going away from this one-size-fits-all, off-the-shelf product to maybe a more personalized product. From my background in more medical research, it's going towards a precision medicine, and the technology we're using can personalize the profile of the individual. Knowing what to recommend and what the product should look like is still a work in progress. But we hope to disrupt the big brands in that way.
And will we need clean product? Do you think we'll need clean product presumably chemicals? Now, I could set you two off against each other quite happily. So for instance, will lasers and machines destroy? Years ago, we used to talk in the industry about the acid mantle and aggressive products and how they strip the acid mantle. If we've now got scientific proof about the microbiome, are we then going to say that lasers and all this new technology is going to destroy the microbiome?
I think it's fair. We've been strategically sat next to each other.
Yeah, I didn't strategically sit you. Sorry about that.
I think the way it's going, a traditional mindset on what a product should look like would include alcohols, preservatives and things that, of course, we know now damages the skin microbiome. Mm-hmm. And so there is that favor towards a more clean, organic, I guess, product type. In terms of laser treatment and things like that, I must admit it's slightly outside of my expertise, but my guess would be that it would affect the skin microbiome, and we need to be aware of that when we're doing all of these things.
Interesting. Fun.
We cannot say anything.
Go on, you can say something.
Excuse
Go.
me. We cannot say anything because it was not tested yet. Then we need to leave it open until you will test it.
Yeah, well, we can do that now with our technologies.
And I also think, as a point of view, and
I was going to add something just about custom skin, scare.
Yes.
How everything now is about customization. And I think more and more brands are looking at the diagnosis part of it, which is what you're working on. And I think in every part of life, of course, we want things that are tailored to us, but also a lot of consumers are lazy. I must put it out there. So it's the same when you're buying clothes. I'd love to have everything custom made or tailored to my size, but sometimes I just need a black shirt. So I don't actually see, okay, I'm not I have a crystal ball or anything, but I see that there's space for every product.
that's what I was going to say.
Sorry.
No. I'm glad you said it. You've got far more authority than me. I've always thought that, even when I started in naturals 30 years ago, there was always going to be there's always going to be women who want certain things. And I'm 74, as most of you know. Virgin. I wish. No, I don't. And I always used a holistic approach, always. And I used a clinical aromatherapy oil from the age of 24, every day of my life until now. And I've used serums, and I've really looked after my skin. But with the advent of non-invasive procedures, I think in the aging process, when you know you're not going to do damage, and that you don't have to be cut and all those things, I think it's much more attractive. Let me just talk to Iman, because she's sitting there and she's a different generation and she can tell us all sorts of things. So tell me, because you're obviously, well, you're probably younger than millennial, aren't you? But tell me about the Indian market and what you're seeing there. And you're in color cosmetics, which is obviously a completely different area. So where are you seeing the trends? What's your most popular product? And how have you been so successful so quickly?
Hi, my name's Iman, Allana. Thank you for the introduction. I started working on my business around a year and a half ago. It's called BOLLYGLOW. We turned 1 this August.
What do you want to talk
We have around 45 products in the market right now. And I think we should touch around 70 plus SKUs by the middle of November. The aim was really to create a multi-axis beauty brand, starting with color cosmetics. I think this is probably the most interesting time in India right now in beauty. Consumption is just, growing exponentially right now. I think what with online platforms that are sort of devoted to beauty e-tail, I think that as well as social media, as well as, the ability to travel in and out of the country more easily for a bigger number of people. The exposure's increased, the appetite to experiment with different brands and products has increased. So definitely the most exciting time. I think the next 5 years are going to be really when, more and more of the world's attention is on India as a beauty market. And to answer your question, what is our best-selling product? So the top category in terms of color cosmetics in India is still eyes and lips. However, what I'm observing right now is that the face category is growing too. Foundation was something that was sort of reserved for more special occasions or weddings, etc. However, it's becoming more a part of a woman, a girl's everyday life. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And is social media absolutely key to the success of your business?
I think in today's day and age, an interesting fact is India has the largest number of microbloggers compared to anywhere in the world. So definitely, yeah.
And you're manufacturing in India, are you, Iman?
So we're the only 100% imported beauty brand, color cosmetic homegrown brand. And all our product is made in Italy, formulated in Italy, and then tailor-made for the Indian skin tones and
okay.
undertones.
Okay, great.
Add a little bit about that
Yes,
because
please.
I'm Filipino, so grew up in the Philippines, and I can see this trend quite big in the Philippines too. Formulated in another country but marketed as local, and all the colors are made to the local skin tone and also the climate. It's 100 days, 365 days of summer in my country. So I think more and more, a lot of brands like this will find success. Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, we always found with skincare as well, you know, that it was very different. The base, the serums, things like that were fine, but moisturizers and had to be very different for the humidity and that's. I've got a client, interestingly, in England, and she was telling me how little color there is for black skins. So black almost going up to Asian. She's quite a well-known journalist in London, and she's doing a range of color foundations specifically because she just found there really isn't a brand out there. So it's interesting that it's such a huge market and not really catered to correctly. So back to you two. Technology. So your technology. Tell us a bit about your technology.
Then in L.Raphael, we have a few locations in L.Raphael. The most popular treatment is the oxygen treatment. We have
And what does that do?
It's renew the skin, take the cells out, the dead cells out, penetrate the key ingredients in by Professor Shinitsky. We have almost 12 different kits. Every kit is a treatment for whitening skin, for anti-aging, for oxy-scalp for people that are suffering from hair that's falling down. This is one of the treatments. The second treatment is very popular. It's the RF for rejuvenation, slimming treatment. We have so many, you know. So I'm in this business already 32 years. We developed through the years. In Israel, I have 10 locations, over 1.5 million guests that returning guests to our location. It started like a medical treatment. And in the years, we found out what is very good, what is dangerous, where not to go into, and where in the spa industry, we can help to the spa industry in a different way. I totally, by myself, I'm living by my philosophy, the 7 foundation, yoga, meditation, sport, eating healthy, trying to find a peace of mind to myself sometimes, although I'm working like crazy. But I think in the spa industry, we are missing one thing. I see so many spa owners and spa managers that seeking for something to make their revenue a little bit better. And not only this, are seeking to give the new trend for the guest, because we are, all of us, running after a trend. Every new trend, we want to bring it in. And the trend today is technology. And if technology is the trend, why the spa industry, that it's one of the biggest industry, will not eat a little bit from the new trend that is technology? The technology this year is almost $11 billion. Then it means we can take it because...
So what I really want to know, Ronit, I know you're not going to tell us all your secrets, but there's a lot of people here who might take offense to what I'm about to say. In the spa industry, the facial percentage, and Rupert, I know you'll disagree, but the facial percentage was always low, and that was because, again, we couldn't get that expertise of estheticians. And as we well know, therapists are not good salespeople, so the revenue was also comparatively low. And when I met Ronit, and I don't know her figures inside out, but I do know quite a bit, I was astounded at the money she was taking. I hope you don't mind me saying this. I was astounded at her revenue and her product sales. So what I'm interested in is, what is the formula that you think that we can put together, or you, or, you know, and there's lots of people in this industry, that you can put together that works in the spa industry that doesn't need a doctor, that is safe, and they're not going to have insurance issues?
Then my secret for you, I think everybody can do it with any kind of range of product. It's just to find a good technology, to combine it with your good brand that you're presenting. I'm sure that you have millions of a fantastic brand around the market. Combine it with a fantastic protocol, because the protocol is the most important, and education for your team. Because the most important things for us is the education for the team. Estheticians, they are not the salespeople. All of my team is not the salespeople. My team is educator. We are educating our guests what is aging, what is the problem, why we have a pigmentation, why we are getting a little bit of weight, and why we have a jet lag, and how can we be better when we are landing after 8 hours, and next day we need to be, again, fantastic and to continue and perform. I think this is the best secret. I will never go to injection. I will never go to any medical things. I will not do a laser in any hotel, because it's open you up for a big...
Yeah.
I will never go there.
So you think there's a formula? Well, you've proved it. You've proved it in the spas that you have.
In many
And she has
hotels
spas-
around.
She has spas in the US, which, as you know, is the most litigious country.
I did it in
Well,
New York, in Montage Beverly Hills, in Cannes, in Israel, in Kazakhstan, in India. I do it in many places and very successful.
Good.
Thank you.
Oliver, what do you want for your brand?
Well,
Where do you see it going in the market?
so I think for us, we're in an interesting space because we have the ability to detect what's on the skin. And as you mentioned previously, your genetics is a one-time thing. You've heard of these other genetic companies out there, 23andMe, for example. We provide that for the skin, but we also provide the skin microbiome, which, as you rightly mentioned, is a recurrence testing. So we can validate the skincare. We can also validate whether in the future solutions for chronic skin conditions are working. And I think education, as you mentioned, Ronit, is a really important thing because technology comes along quite quickly and everyone adopts it. And so teaching the consumer and teaching the partners you're working with about what the technology is doing and how it's benefiting the consumer is really important. For us, we're lucky, I think, in some ways because the gut microbiome has come into its own. And consumers, I think, could shift their mindset of, okay, the gut microbiome I know about, and the skin microbiome is similarly important. We would like to be a company that is able to give this profile and give this really high resolution information for the consumer, so they can then choose what's best for their own skin.
So one of the conversations we had, so I have a feeling that this is revolutionary, and since I sold Espa, I'm seeing things all the time. I'm very lucky that now people are I'm seeing things because they know my expertise. But I have a feeling the big companies will block it. So I know you've had lots of offers already. Do you think that's the case, or do you think will you be able to do this as a consumer-led product that consumers can buy to test their own microbiome?
I think, yeah, exactly. I think it's difficult because if you partner with any one company, you're limited to the products they sell. What we're trying to do is come in from a more unbiased approach and give the consumer a wide range of recommendations and eventually, hopefully, the product itself. Yeah, completely. For now, it would be working with more department stores, and we've got a few interesting leads on that, and then launch a direct-to-consumer platform. Exciting to say we're looking to do a soft launch by the end of this year, and we have a product, and I'd love to show it to anyone interested in that.
Great. Okay. Trends. The expert on trends.
Not really.
Both of you, really. So I'll talk to both of you.
It's very difficult. You asked me when we had a call about Asian trends, and I said this earlier in the lunch I was hosting. Anyone who's going to ask me what are the trends in Asia, first of all, Asia is such a huge place.
Yes.
I'm sure everyone knows this. But the needs in, say, Singapore, Southeast Asia would be different from India, would be different from North Asia and Japan. But generally, I think clean beauty is a big thing, not only in Asia, but in the world. I'm sure you've heard about like niche brands like Drunk Elephant being bought out for 845 million just last week by Shiseido. So I think bigger conglomerates are snatching up small brands. It's not unique to the wellness market and the beauty market. I'd say more culturally relevant products are coming up in the market, as you have mentioned. So from ingredients, people now use ginseng, they use clove in toothpaste, they use a lot more coconut oil, say in the Philippines, which traditionally we love that ingredient. So more and more FMCG brands are using these indigenous ingredients that we know traditionally work for us. So I think that's also a big movement. But in terms of consumers, people are more open-minded, but at the same time, they read a lot more. So I think as a journalist, we also have to be careful on what we release. But at the same time, we rely on experts to give us the quotes, to give us intel. So I think there's also that ecosystem there that we really have to ensure that what we're spreading is something that's good for people or maybe not good for people and people are well informed. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because I see an issue with social media. I mean, I know there's nothing we can do about it, and I know it's going to grow and grow and grow, but there's so much false information being given out, especially about specialized products, specialized treatments. So, you know, just because Kim Kardashian blows it out there and, you know, and everybody follows, it's not necessarily relevant. And I think also from an educational point of view, there's a lot of misinformation. So tell us about India. Tell us about the trends that you think are different there. Or tell us about the trends that you think for your generation are different to everything that's gone previously.
I think in India, what I've observed in the past 2 years is that customers want, you know, quality but accessible luxury almost. So of course, quality being the key and backbone of any good product, but they want it priced fairly. It's still a very price-sensitive market. Another thing, as you very rightly mentioned, is an emphasis on natural. Whereas ginseng, for example, is popular in more of the South Asian countries. In India, we're noticing, you know, a lot of new, young, homegrown skincare brands that sort of take you back to the roots of Ayurveda and emphasize the natural ingredients present in them. Another trend, which is surprisingly, you know, prevalent in India at maybe perhaps not the same level as it is in the West, but greater transparency. I mean, already our customers inquire about whether the products are cruelty-free, vegan, you know, an emphasis on sustainable packaging, something that I still would have presumed India was a few years away from. It's something that...
Would you, I've got a thing about vegan products. I don't know how much you know about that, but what I discovered through research was that a lot of the vegan products are actually very synthetic and chemical. And the consumer, I think it's a story for a journalist. Yeah. The consumer thinks because something's vegan, it's natural, and that isn't the case. So I think that's something that... Yes, yes. Yes, exactly. Okay, fantastic. We've got a few minutes left, and I thought that I should allow for some questions because we've got such a knowledgeable team here. Has anybody got any before? Yes, Kim. Do you need a mic? There's somebody running with one now. Sorry, I think he's got one.
Ronit, I was thinking that it could be interesting to share the average price point of technology services, because that was one thing that was so impressive to me, that you are able to capture the rates that you're capturing for a 50-minute treatment.
Then Kim, I will tell you a secret. Kim, 5 years ago or 7 years ago, was my spa director. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
in New York. She did a fantastic work. Average treatment is between $600 to almost $1,500. It depends on the treatment. It depends on the product that we are using to. Let's say if you're coming to Oxycure C treatment, it will cost $1,350. If you ask me in the menu, what is our biggest sale of treatment is our Oxycure C in all over the spa, all over the world.
So I went recently to a clinic that shall remain nameless because it's not fair if I say, and I looked at oil therapy, which the cosmetic surgeons are using quite a lot, and she was hysterical, the aesthetic doctor, because she didn't know who I was, and she looked at me, you know, with my skin and everything, and I'm thinking, oh God, she's going to pull me to pieces. Anyway, she said, for tightening my jawline and a little bit around the corners of the eyes, it was 4,500 euros. So those are, and that was a, you know, they had regular treatments and everything, so that was a normal health resort. So I think the potential is huge.
I want to tell you something. Classic spa will stay always a classic spa.
Yeah.
If you ask me at the Four Seasons, how much is my revenue on a classic spa, it's a 50%. Then I did not change the revenue. I took the spa from the Four Seasons and I kept it as is. And maybe I grew up maybe in 5% even extra or 10%. But the 40% that I brought to grow my business, it was from the technology and from our fantastic range of product. When a client do a treatment and already invest 1,000 in a treatment, he doesn't want to go home with an empty hand. He wants to continue his best result at home. Then he will be addicted to your product. And he will finish the product, he will buy them online, or he will call you. What I like about the technology, you are creating a very loyal customer base. If they really see the result, they will come back. And in L.Raphael, it's very well known that you do a treatment, you have a result. We call that home away from home. Guests will never leave. It's like Hotel California song. They stay.
And they trust once, it's the trust thing again, isn't it? The other thing I found incredible was that I think it was 50% men. Certainly at the clinic I was at, it was 50% men. So that was the clinic I went to, it was 50% men, but I think you have a big one, don't you?
In New York, we have
70% men?
In New York, Kim know it, we have 70% men because it's the Four Seasons, it's traveling men usually. The men cannot do plastic surgery, men cannot put makeup, men cannot put a cover up, but they have to look good because next day they need to go and talk. Then they come to do treatment. They do an ultragravity and oxygen, and next day they look fantastic.
We've got time for one more question. Anyone else? Sorry. Yes.
Can you please comment on home care devices and technologies?
You know, I saw here in the building a nice brand. It's I don't know this brand. It's a new brand for me. They have kind of sunglasses device with a radio frequency. I think it can be good. If I can tell you if it's good or not, I don't really know because my R&D team never checked that. But after today, when I come back to Switzerland, the first thing that I will do, I will check on this one. I will tell to my R&D to put attention on that because I think that it can help.
I had it, what they were using, I had something very similar. I had a facial and all the treatments that had masks or whatever, they used it on the eyes for about 15 minutes. And it was tightening as well. You were going to comment.
I mean, and I was just going to say that market is really, really growing. It's not called self-technology, but at-home kind of technology. Yeah. A lady I had lunch with, she talks about, because there are a lot of serums that are very good, There are a lot of products that are really like effective, but what really makes a difference is the delivery system.
Yes.
She's just over there, so she can help you. She's just right in front of you.
Do we need to give you a mic so that you can tell us? But I mean, we've been looking at home devices for a long time, and it seemed to me, and I'm not an expert on that, so I don't want to pretend to be, but it seemed to me, first of all, we had things like Clarisonic, and then there was I shouldn't say brands, should I really? But then there was a backlash against that because of the hygiene issue. I think some of the laser hair removal now has gone up to a very good level, because initially, apparently, it wasn't powerful enough to really be effective, but apparently that has been improved. But I think we're probably not expert enough and can't discuss brands. How much? We've got one more if we're quick. Gosh, I'm amazed that you're not more curious. I was. Oh, you want to ask him a question? Go on then, quick. Oh, go on. We're talking about what? She's coming.
So we are talking about the value, what we sell for, but I'm really curious as a manufacturer from something else, what does it cost for you? Is it factor 10, 20? You know what I mean? When you sell a treatment for 150 or 1,500, sorry, I forgot. Just curiosity, I want to have, what is the value of the products inside the cream?
Honest, this is not my department. I have a full department for this one, but I'm sure that we are making enough money. I'm sure.
Yeah, Sammy,
this is what I thought.
Sammy, I don't think it's the product. It's not the product, it's the machine. You've got machines at 100,000 a time. Yes, yeah, but that's all built in, on a revenue basis. Thank you for the chimes. I love that. Thank you all very much. Thank you to panel, great panel, very much, a lot of knowledge and experience. So thank you all very much.